Bebopalula may no longer top the hit parade, and you may not fancy yourself in a draped jacket, drainpipe trousers and crepe-soled shoes. But rock music and teddy boy clothes, they say, will be the height of fashion once more. It's a rock and roll revival, and the 1950s are here again. Well, they're here anyway, at the Black Raven pub in the heart of the city of London. To the teddy boys and their girls who come here each week to rock, bebop and jive, it's not really a rock and roll revival at all. As far as they're concerned, rock and roll never went away in the first place. This is a new rock group, but they're carrying the old message of Bill Haley, Jerry Lee, Little Richard and Presley to the Raven regulars, many of whom have been Teds for over 20 years. This group is about to join Billy Fury, Marty Wilde and Heinz, remember him? In the Rock and Roll Roadshow, which will carry the rock gospel to the provinces during the next 3 weeks. But tonight, they're preaching to the converted. What do you think about this rock and roll revival? Or do you suppose it isn't a revival, is it?
It isn't a revival. I mean, what can you revive? It hasn't been dead. Rock and roll has never died.
Just, you know, basically just the music, you know, you can really enjoy yourself with rock and roll. You know, you just, when you hear rock and roll, you just, you know, I want to let everything go.
It vibrates your whole body, like nothing else does. No Tamla Toy Town.
But it's a complete escape from reality, I think, you know, which gets you all, you know, everybody who's down here in the end, you know, who just get into it.
Even the manager of the new roadshow has fond memories of the 50s. Hal Carter was in the army at the time.
What happened was, I went in the army about 53, I think, 54, and Presley came, Bill Haley came out, and then the first one I really got into was the Heartbreak Hotel Presley. And in fact, I had a Ted suit when I was in the army, you know, because it was funny actually, because the haircuts were up to here, you know, and we used to dress, you know, because I was an instructor, army instructor, and we'd go out of a night and have a drink, you know, and walk around and everything, and it was sort of, it was getting common thing to do then, you know, and nobody sort of took any notice. We knew they were army fellas because of the haircuts, you know, and then I started writing songs. My first song that I wrote was a rewrite of Hound Dog. It was called You Ain't Nothing But a Rabbit.
Hal's two biggest stars in the 50s were Marty Wilde and Billy Fury, and today they're still the biggest in his new roadshow. But like Hal, they haven't forgotten the 50s either.
When I was about 14, I started to wear the teddy boy gear. Then I was 15, I could only wear it at weekends because I worked in an office, you see, and they were in those days, and they wouldn't sort of have teddy boys working for them. But gradually, I wore out of that kind of influence. But I used to wear all the drapes and the crepe shoes because that was a laugh because I got size 13 feet, you see, and these oh dear, with drain pipes on these feet, quite a sight, I tell you.
In 1955, I left school, which was a secondary modern school. And just before then, I think the teddy boy era had begun, which I liked very much because up until then it was all baggy suits and teenagers didn't have an identity of their own, and suddenly they did. But I had a lot of trouble in the beginning wearing tight trousers and long jackets, velvet collars, because of my dear father.
What did he do then? He wouldn't have this?
Well, there was a clip over the earhole. So what I used to do was keep my tight trousers down the backyard in the toilet, actually, on the top of the system. I used to go out in my baggy trousers. I used to dash up the entry, climb over the wall, into the toilet, change into my tight trousers, etc. And then I was sort of out on the town for the night.
Of course, while all these memories of the 50s might be nostalgic for you, I'm really too young to remember it clearly. Back in 1956, I was just an innocent young 9-year-old. And in fact, the whole teddy boy era would have passed me by completely if it hadn't been for my brother Vince. He was one of the hardest Teds in our neighborhood. In fact, I think I've got a picture of him here, and one of me when I was young. Yes, here we are. There's one of me when I was just 9. Nice little lad. And here's one of Vince. He must have been 18, 19 then. He was a hard lad.